So last week I left off reading about George Orwell's 1984, and so I'm going to continue there and continue into the next chapter on dystopias, and then our next chapter is just on different kinds of literature, literature in your lifetime and beyond. So let's see what that has to say. The most influential dystopia of our time has been George Orwell's 1984. So influential, in fact, it has added at least one word to our language, Orwellian. I think I read this last week, but it's a good recap. The novel was conceived in 1948, and some would say is as much about that period as the then distant year of the title. Britain had emerged from the Second World War exhausted and impoverished. No end was in sight. It would be austerity forever. But Orwell had bigger targets in view. The war had been fought against totalitarian states, Germany, Italy, Japan, and their all-powerful dictators. The Allies who emerged victorious were democratic states. Their major Eastern partner, the USSR, however, was as totalitarian a state as pre-war Germany itself. While the war was going on, that didn't matter. He would make an alliance with the devil, said Churchill, if Lucifer was anti-Hitler. But what about afterwards? Orwell prophesied that Soviet-style dictatorship and a global balance of coexisting totalitarian superpowers was the shape of things to come. In the novel, Britain is Airstrip 1, a province in the Oceania superpower. It is under the total domination of a Stalin-like dictator, even down to the famed mustache, Big Brother, who may or may not exist. Orwell's original title for the novel was The Last Man in Europe. The last man is the novel's hero, Winston Smith, who is destined to be liquidated after he has been re-educated. The state is all-powerful and always will be forevermore. 1984 was wholly wrong in predicting a future of continuous grinding austerity. Compared to 1948, when the novel was written, 1984 was a land of milk and honey. And the last totalitarian superpower, the USSR, Eurasia in the novel, collapsed in 1989. Orwell was entirely wrong about that, but in other ways, the Orwellian future has indeed come about. To take just one example of Orwellian accuracy, Orwell, like Bradbury, was fascinated by the arrival of television. But what, he wondered, if the TV set could watch you? This, the two-way television set, is the principal means by which the party enforces its tyranny in 1984. Which country in the world has the most CCTV cameras? You guessed it, Airstrip 1. We live in the Orwellian future as predicted. So the author of this book is English. Okay. So there are some controversial thoughts in there, and you may discuss them. I'd love for you to discuss them, to let me know what you think about them. If you need to go back and rewatch the other video and then finish it with this video, that would be fine. If you haven't watched the other video, then maybe that's a good idea. But we're going to move on to chapter 40, Literature in Your Lifetime and Beyond. And actually, I'm not sure that you guys care to listen to me read. You probably would rather read it yourself. So I'm just going to send the link to this next chapter, Literature in Your Lifetime and Beyond, and let you read it, and then send me your thoughts on it, on what you read. It's talking about the printed book. Is it still popular? Are people gonna, go the way of ebooks only? I can tell you my theories on that and my personal beliefs and convictions concerning paper versus ebooks, but literature versus television and movies. So it'd be a great read for you to have, and then to do a brief discussion with it. So that's where we're going to end with that. And let me know your thoughts on the short story that y'all read today too.